On May 1st, I started a eBay versus TCG player comparison using 5,000 Pokemon cards on each platform. And today we're going to be going over my week 4 results. So this is basically going to be a cumulative of the entire first month. We're going to see how the numbers stack up. Before we talk about the month end results, I want to talk about the individual week 4 results. Now, a couple caveats going into this week. The biggest being that this was mayhem for TCGPlayer. So if you're unfamiliar what that is twice a year, generally around Black Friday and sometime in May, TCGPlayer runs basically a marketing sale or a promotion rather, where any buyers on the platform receive 8% back in store credit, generally about a week after their purchase, for any purchases made during that day, up to, I think it has a cap of like $1,500. And then if you're a TCGPlayer subscriber, you can get an additional 1 to 3% based on how long you've had that subscription. However, what that means is there's generally an incentive for buyers to buy on that day. And then furthermore, there's an additional incentive a week later once that store credit hits. So because mayhem fell on this week, that probably did lead to some of the sales that we've gotten. However, the other thing that I did is the day or two before mayhem, I actually switched up my pricing strategy on TCGPlayer. And so previously I had a 20-cent floor, and I did not offer free shipping. I had $1.31 shipping on all of my orders. So that always covered me whether they did a single card order, a 20-cent single card order, or whether they did a larger order, and I had to send in a bubble mail or anything. I at least had a little bit of guaranteed shipping funds there. I decided, since sales had kind of been slow through the duration of this test on TCGPlayer from what I was expecting, I decided, you know what, let's go ahead and switch that up. We set a 19-cent floor, and we set free shipping. So that means anything up to $5, we get $1.49 in shipping because eBay or TCGPlayer did raise their minimum there. But anything over $5, where basically the buyer doesn't have to pay shipping. That led obviously to a bunch of sales. So before we talk about TCGPlayer, I want to talk about eBay. The eBay sales weren't that great this week, so we'll just skim through them pretty quick. We sold a Persian from Jungle that was lightly played, $1.79. You can kind of see the net on that was only 22 cents. Poppy from Obsidian Flames, we sold for $1.89. Our net on that was 41 cents. And I do also want to mention that throughout, like later in the week on the eBay side, I did switch up the campaign. And so what you're going to see is when we get down to like this EV, you're going to notice the marketing fee on that is double what it was. I had like 5% mostly throughout the week. And then towards the end of the week, I decided, you know what, we're going to let their dynamic ad rate run and let's see if we can pick up some sales. Unfortunately, we only picked up like 1 or 2 sales from that. So I took it back down to 5% today. But just keep that in mind when you see these fees. Tangela from Cosmic Eclipse, lightly played. We sold that one as well, net of 36 cents. Magikarp from SV Base. That one, we ended up netting $1.20 on, and this is because this was bundled with some other cards that I had, which are actually a Clauncher Reverse Holo from SV Base and a Lapras reverse from Breakpoint. So they took advantage of my buy 2 get 1 free. However, that also saves me on some shipping costs there, which is why you see the shipping costs only 25 cents here. So we ended up netting $1.20 kind of per card there. So that's why you see that breakout like that. Lost Origins Pikachu, we also sold, netted 39 cents on that one. And then we talked about that Eevee from Evolving Skies that sold at the dynamic ad rate. So we netted 18 cents off of that one. And then that was actually it from the from like those 5,000 bulk cards that we're running the test against. We also did list a bunch of other stuff previously, a bunch of reverse hollows, things like that, some Lurkana cards, and these all sold too. So we had a couple Pokemon Go cards. Pokemon Go reverse hollows have been like my #1 seller on eBay right now. So Pikachu's, Ivysaurs, Venusaurs, Blastoise, Charmanders, and both Pikachu reverse foils have been selling, the common and the rare. So you're gonna see a bunch of those in here. You're gonna see Eevee as well. We did sell Queen of Hearts from Lurkana, which was super nice because I've been sitting on these Lurkana cards for a long time. They weren't moving on TCGPlayer. I have them listed on eBay to see, and they've been slowly moving. But you can see this Lurkana card. So for $1.99, we netted 48 cents off of this card. Now, this is a cold foil. So keep that in mind. It's not the regular, normal, non-foil. It is a cold foil card. War Turtle from Pokemon Go. A couple Enzorark EXs, a Blissey EX. You can kind of see all those Pokemon Go cards in there. Cleffa from Celebrations. Scrolling down, we also had some lightly played reverse hollows from Evolutions. So somebody came in. We got a really big order. You're going to see all these. These all went to the same person. So they took advantage of the buy two, get one free. And they came in and they bought, I think it was like 15 cards or something like that. It's showing 14 here. I believe it was, maybe that is right. Maybe it was 14 cards. But yeah, they basically came in and they bought a bunch of cards. So that was super nice. Because that saved us on shipping. So we ended up, like, if you notice on all of these, $1.39 basically per card because of the buy two, get one free. But we netted over $1 on every card in this order, which was super nice. Then we had an Octillery reverse hollow, Clauncher reverse hollow, Lapras reverse hollow that was lightly played from Breakpoint, Jigglypuff reverse from Fates Collide, lightly played. And then somebody also came in and they made an offer on all of my Kyogres from Celebrations. I had 17 Kyogres from Celebrations listed in a single listing with a quantity of up to 17. So the power of that was that they came in and they said, hey, I had an asking price of like $1.99 or $1.89 per card. They came in and said, hey, I'll give you $1 per card. I'll buy them all. And because they were in one listing with that quantity, they were able to do that. And basically we got $17 for all these Kyogres, free shipping, but we were able to send these all in one envelope, obviously. And so we ended up netting 66 cents per card on this. So that was super nice. If you compare that to some of the cards, like if we sold those for $1.89, we would have only netted $1.89 with free shipping. We would have netted about 41 cents. Where because he came in and bought them all, even though he bought them at basically like half the price, we saved on like the shipping costs and all that. So 66 cents a card. So that was super nice to see. And then there was another order that came in for Megaclef Fable EX, Numel reverse, and then we also had a Charmander reverse from Pokemon Go. Now, we also sold a Professor's Research. This is the ultra rare from the Celebrations base set, and we sold it. We didn't accepted an offer for $1.25. However, I did not check the shipping policy on this one because I had, if you guys remember in previous week, I went through and I changed the shipping policy on everything from charging $1 shipping to being free shipping. Well, I thought that this one still had the $1 shipping on it because the price was kind of low there. Unfortunately, it wasn't that case. And so I actually had this listed at only $1.25. Originally, I had $1.25 with $1 shipping. When I did the free shipping, I forgot to increase the price of the card. Somebody came in and bought it. Unfortunately, we took a loss on this card. You can see the net there is negative 22 cents. We didn't cancel the order or anything. That is our mistake. Unfortunately, it was not only we take a loss on it, it was also a promoted listing, so we took an even more loss on it. Those are all the eBay sales. TCGPlayer was insane. As I mentioned, I did change up a little bit of pricing strategy. So I went with the 19 cents to kind of undercut everybody that is sitting at a 20-cent floor. So I've got a 19-cent floor. And as I mentioned, I did free shipping over $5. And this was kind of the result. I am not going to go through this full card list. There are like 250 some cards in this list probably that sold. So we're just going to scroll through some of these quickly. 4 Ignition Energies, 4 Tarragons, 3 Tyrants, 5 Brave Bangles, couple Crispins, Goldeen, Sea King, Rillaboom, some Joltex. Somebody came in. This was actually one order here. So all of these were all part of one order. He bought a bunch of Joltex, Applin, Psyduck, Lapras, Flaffy. You can see varying sets. So that's the power of having a bigger inventory. They'll come in and they'll buy up a bunch of stuff. Another Ignition Energy. We were fortunate. There were a bunch of Ignition Energies in those bulk cards that we got from Cool Stuff. So that was nice to see because those are all selling at 34 cents a card. And then somebody came in and bought all of my Shining Fates EVs. And so this was before we dropped the floor. So we sold the floor at 20 cents, I believe, at that time. And then Staryu, somebody bought 3 Staryus from Perfect Order for 19 cents, along with all these other cards. So, Boss's Orders, Energy Switches, Cynthia's Gaible, Roselia, Spiritomb, Genesect, Enhanced Hammer. So they came in and they bought all these. And what you're going to notice here is you're going to notice a pattern of people just buying up cards to get to that $5 threshold. Vivid Voltage, somebody came in and they bought every Charmander I had from Vivid Voltage. So it's all from the same order. They also bought every Bulbasaur I had from Pokemon Go. These are not the reverse holos. These are the regular commons. So they came in and they bought all of those cards. That order had 55 cards in it. Then we sold a Raichu, the deck exclusive Raichu. That one was nice because that gave us a net of 86 cents because that sold for over $1. Plus, that was the only card they bought, so we still got that $1.49 shipping. Dragonair Seedot, a couple Dragonairs in there. This was another substantial order. Right, getting them kind of up to that threshold. Same thing with this one. Like a Vaporeon, Vulpix, Clefairy, Ninetales, Houndoom. Double colorless energy. Haven't seen a DCE sell for a while. But we did in that bulk from Cool Stuff Inc. There was a Sun and Moon base DCE in there. So that did sell. There was also a Houndoom from Crimson Invasion. Sold for 57 cents. Ninetales from Rebel Clash sold for 58 cents. Clefairy from Rebel Clash sold for 27 cents. And then somebody came in and bought a bunch of Shrouded Fable and Paldea Evolved cards. This was a really big order. I believe this was an 85 card order that came in. So this came in. Now this order was $20 some. So it was a bigger order, but super cool to see that come in. And then we had another decent sized order come in for Laleep, Slitherwing, a bunch of 151 Bellsprout, Victory Bell, and Weeping Bell cards. They grabbed 2 Weeping Bells, 2 Victory Bells, 4 Bellsprouts, Tatsugori, Girafarig, Slitherwing. So that was a pretty big order that came in as well towards the end of the week. Some Bronzors in there as well. And then we also had another order come in here. So this one, Banette, Pineco, Snover, Eevee, Girder, Haunter, Jinx, Stunny, Cacturn, Shedinja, Bidoof. And then we had, right at the tail end of the week, we had somebody come in and buy Boss's orders from Mega Evolutions. So those were all the cards that we sold this week. Now let's take a look at how the numbers stack up. Because honestly, that's what's important. And it's becoming glaring who the evident winner of this head-to-head test is. So on eBay this week, we only sold 6 cards for a net of $2.76. On TCGPlayer, we sold 257 cards for a net of $32.42. Now, a couple things I want to point out here is the average net we're getting per card on eBay continues to be obviously a lot higher, right? So even though we only sold 6 cards, our average net per card was 46 cents. On TCGPlayer, you're going to notice it's a little bit lower this week compared to prior weeks, and that's because of that free shipping. We are digging into our profits a little bit in order to move the quantity. But what you're going to notice is we moved 257 cards at $32. So 13 cents per card is our average net. And this is, and I've been talking about this the past couple weeks, but this is really where it boils down to. How patient are you? What is your end goal? Is your end goal to maximize profit out of every single card? Or is it to kind of move inventory, get cards in, get cards out, and more importantly, have an established inventory that can really help your buyers? It's not always about profits. You know, sometimes it's about providing a service to the buyer or the consumer that allows them to make you kind of a one-stop shop. They can come to you and they can say, all right, I'm trying to build out this collection. These are all the cards I need. You have them. You're saving them on shipping costs. You're able to provide them all of those cards kind of in one shot. And that's really where TCGPlayer wins out in the end, especially with more of these bulk cards that people are, really trying to get. Now, there are people building collections using eBay. In fact, I've had some buyers tell me that I was, contributing to building out their collection, which is awesome to see, but TCGPlayer is really what that's for. So, moving down to the financials. So, again, we spent $400 on all that bulk. So far, we have made back $283. Our eBay store subscription was $27.95. So we are still down negative 37%. However, this is only 1 month in, and we've already made back 63% of what we spent on that. So that is super awesome to see. Now, if we kind of take a look at what that breakdown looks like, it's because we did that simulated buy for $187, right? We're averaging $3.20 a day profit. And what that means is 3-month projections of $269 plus the simulated buy we did. We are still on track to be projected to break even and actually make a $50 profit if things sustain by the end of 3 months, which is really cool to see. If we take a look at the aggregate numbers for the month, TCGPlayer, we did $52.94. eBay, we did $43.17. So glaring right off the bat is TCGPlayer, we made more than we did with eBay even before the fees come into play with the eBay store. Once we factor in the store fees of $27.95 for the month in order to list that many cards, we end up with $15.22. That is only 28% of what the TCGPlayer net was. So we are significantly underperforming. Obviously, you're looking at well over 3x the net on TCGPlayer because we're able to move those cards. I also did a breakdown of the net average per card with and without the store fee on eBay. So TCGPlayer, over the month, we average 15 cents a card is kind of what our net is. Now, this is the net. So this is after shipping fee, after all of our fees. So after the order fees, after the shipping fees, postage cost, everything. And then eBay without the store fee would be 59 cents. Once we factor in the store fee, it's only 21 cents per card. So it's actually really close to what that TCGPlayer number is, which is really interesting. And it kind of, it leads you kind of to the realization that, yeah, you can move cards on eBay. You can move bulk cards on eBay. Don't get me wrong. But it's going to be very slow movers. Yeah, you're going to make a little bit more margin, but TCGPlayer is really where that bulk is going to shine. And that's why a lot of people sell on TCGPlayer. So this is kind of those 1 month results. Now, I will say that we did throw some other cards in there just to kind of see how things did. So while on eBay we only made $43, we did make $168 when we factor in the other cards. I'm not factoring those into these numbers because it's not part of the head-to-head test, the 5,000 versus 5,000. I trickled those in because I'm paying the fees. I needed to be able to make back those fees. If I was only going to make $15 a month after the subscription fee, I definitely wouldn't do it. So that's why me sprinkling in some EX cards, some of those ultra rares, some of the reverse hollows, especially the Pokemon Go reverse hollows, have really helped me out and helped me kind of sustain a little bit of a profit on eBay. Not a lot, but at least a little bit there. You can kind of see when we factor that in, we did $52 on TCGPlayer. Now TCGPlayer, pure bulk, only those 5,000 cards. So that's really why you want to be looking at these numbers here. But that's pretty much it. Just kind of want to show you guys what my full month results were. So this would be from May 1st to the morning of May 31st. So pretty much a full month, kind of just minus the very last day of the month. And so we're probably going to continue this test in the next month. But then I think for July, we're going to start a different test. So if there's any kind of test that you want me to do comparing TCGPlayer to eBay, let me know down in the comments below. Whether that's trying to do all trainer cards, trying to do all reverse foil cards, maybe just EX cards, or ultra rare cards. Let me know what you guys would like to see down in the comments below, and I may pick one of those, and we may run that test for a month or two in July.